Hi friends, welcome to the Wild Side. I'm Steve Hall. Long before Europeans discovered the woods and waters of Tennessee, Native Americans were hunting these lands, paddling and fishing on the rivers. Things didn't always go well for them after settlers and soldiers came. There were brutal battles, the Trail of Tears, and life on the reservation. Historians claim they can verify that Native Americans lived on the land that is now Long Hunter State Park some 12,000 years ago. And that's where descendants of the people who were mistakenly identified as Indians gather for a powwow every year, hoping to preserve their story by sharing it with others. Distant drums are often heard in old cowboy and Indian movies. And the flute is familiar as well. But the sweet or sorrowful sound of a violin is rarely recognized as part of Native American music.
When I ask people if they knew that the violin was a traditional Native American instrument, most of them don't know that. And the question is really, how long does something take to become a tradition? Is it 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, 400 years? The violin, the harp, and the guitar were introduced here in the New World back in 1689 by the Jesuit priests, who brought those three instruments to teach the Indian children so they could have music for Mass on Sundays.
Native Americans participating in this educational powwow at Long Hunter State Park will tell you there are many aspects of their history that are still unknown, along with much that is mistaken or misunderstood.
A lot of people don't understand. All they know is what they see on TV, which is 99% of the time wrong. So what I'm trying to do is teach them the right things, the right way to do things, how we as a tribe communicate and how we as a tribe work together.
I think a lot of what's taught is really washed down. I mean, I think that if you were to ask the average student who the Indians are, they would tell you a Thanksgiving story, you know, that it would be, and a lot of kids probably have the perspective that the white men came in and they befriended the Indians and they ate together and they played games together and it was really cordial and wonderful and sweet. But I think that there's just there's lots of other layers there that that they need to know.
So, over the years, the powwow has become a popular place for students and teachers to dig deeper into a different and darker part of history from a Native American perspective.
And that's what these powwows are for, these educational days, is to try to debunk some of these myths, to teach the children some aspect of this early way of life that existed here before the Europeans came. And I think one of the biggest myths is that the Native American people didn't progress into modern times, that we still live the way they used to live.
I very much feel like just American history in general is spun from the white man's perspective, and I think that all minority races are sort of just their perspectives of history are left out, and I think it's really important that we as parents try to teach our children the different perspectives of history, because there's not just one view of how things happened.
So we looked at Muckadee Muckwa. Can you say that? That's black bear.
Traveling from her reservation in Michigan, Carrie Gaskin brings stories that originated long before Columbus landed in America. Stories passed down by ancestors to her grandmother, and then to her.
My whole goal of doing this and going to powwows is to teach kids humility, all these little stories that my grandmother used to tell me when I was little, to teach you about how to live and how to respect other people, and that everybody's equal and nobody's better than anybody else.
Respect for nature and the outdoors is one facet of Native American legacy that is already well known. And that's one of the reasons Long Hunter State Park is chosen for this annual event, a place where both Native Americans and foreign settlers found plenty of water, plants, and wildlife for survival.
Several of the tribes came here to the Middle Tennessee area to do their hunting and fishing and gathering. So it ties in really well with the name of our park, Long Hunter State Park, and the pre-statehood and everything to have the folks here this weekend.
This area in general is so scenic, and it's such almost therapeutic to be out here. And I think that that's something that we've really lost in America, and we've just become so such an industrialized nation and so connected to our technology, and we just don't see nature a lot anymore. You know, we're not in nature as much as we used to be, and I think that it's something that we're all starved for, and I think it's something that they still have an appreciation for, and they can kind of take us back to that place of respect and appreciation for it, and to even our biological need to be connected to the earth.
We cannot get away from that because we are nature. And so when we try to separate ourselves from nature, a dis-ease begins to build in our bodies. And by coming back to nature, we are a step closer to finding that balance and harmony in life that we're all looking for.
Traditional dance is a highlight of the weekend. Native Americans from tribes all around the country perform in colorful regalia. It is the kind of event expected at a powwow, reflective of the past. But there is also a hopefulness for greater harmony and healing in the future.
I think what's wrong and why everybody's so crazy nowadays is because they're not connected with their spirit anymore. They're connected with what society tells them to do or what their boss tells them to do. And nobody's following what their heart's telling them to do anymore. No one's following their spirit anymore.
You very much feel like in America, people are losing connection to their heritage and connection to the people that they came from. And you get the sense that it's being preserved in events like this, and people just like touch the things that matter to them, and to really taste the culture in this kind of way is really amazing.
You can camp out on our website, wildsidetv.com, to learn more about the annual powwow, the people who put it together, and Long Hunter State Park. Still to come on the Wild Side, we'll spend time with another Native American. This one, a Grammy Award-winning musician who would rather be fly fishing.